Welcome back to another edition of the Two-Way Prep Sports Podcast, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Tony Roman and Mike McConey here with you guys. How you feeling today, Tony?
Yo, I'm good. Ready to rock.
Yeah, let's get started, man. Just as usual here, you can always find us, guys, on our normal podcast listening platforms. This is SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store. You can also find us on Spreaker, brand new, as well as Spotify. So if you're looking for an additional way to listen to us, please turn into one of those many options. In addition, we also have, any of our social media sites to interact with: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. It does not matter. The number 4 Corners Sports for that. And please tune in to our regular editions of the Four Corners Sports Show, touching on college football, fantasy football, regular football, whatnot. This Two-Way Prep Sports Podcast brought to you by Four Corners Sports. It's going over the 5A SIC as well as some other local programs. Tony, game of the week last night, not last night, but last week here, we had Bora, pulling it off over Capital. Tell us a little bit about that, man. And in other action, we also had Mountain View topping Eagle to keep those teams just a step below Rocky. But what about your game of the week, man?
Like I've been talking about, it's a same thing every single week. Austin Bolt. I mean, the kid did it all. He had 44 carries, 289 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, you can't say more about him. He played every single snap except for 2 special teams plays. He was the kicker, the punter, the kick returner. He was just unbelievable. And Capital could not tackle him. It was unreal. He got 2 4th and 15 conversions by himself, running zone read, taking off. I've never seen a more dominant performance by one player in a game than what he had last night against Capital. It was unbelievable. And that's why he's getting the offers that he has. I mean, he got Arizona State rolled in after that game, and Baylor offered him in the morning. So there's 2 more big Power 5 schools offering the kid. He's unreal.
Yes, he is. And knocking off Capital, I think, Austin Bolt is, just an ATH in recruiting standards. The kid could play any position. We'll see where, colleges try to put him and if that influences his decision on where he ends up landing. Do we know of any other offers that he has, outside of those 2 and, Boise State?
Utah State was the first one to come in. They offered him last year, like in November. And I know all the Pac-12 schools are looking at him, and nobody's formally offered him. But I want to touch on that Capital Bora. It was for 2006, I think, to 2015, Capital won every game. It was like a 16 game, including 1 playoffs winning streak. When I was at Bora, they beat us by 1 and by 3. And then the next year they beat us by like 45. I never beat Capital when I was at Bora. And now these last 6 games, they're 3-3. Bora beat them back-to-back in the playoffs last year. And then this year, this game, which is huge, good saying for Capital. They might be, like I said last week, out of the top 4. They're the team leaving it. And I could see now it's starting to happen.
A big stat that stood out to me was 4 of 5 on 4th downs. They were not afraid to go right at this Capital defensive front. And, it paid off for him. 19 rushing first downs. Obviously, a lot of that was Austin Bolt. How do you see Bora now sitting at 4-2 as we look into the playoff picture? I mean, Rocky Mountain's still dominating at 6-0. Mountain View, Yankee Eagle back there. Both of those teams sitting at 5-1, and then it's kind of those 4 teams, guys. Capital moves down to separate the bottom of the pack there at 3-3. Tony, what's going on here with the playoffs, man?
Well, Idaho has a weird classifications for the 5A and 4A for the playoffs. 3A and below use RPI, strength of schedule, how good the team is, and then Idaho 5A is the most difficult one. 4A, there's so many teams. There's like 42 teams throughout the state. 5A, there's only 22 teams. So they take 4 from the SIC, 2 from the North, and 2 from the East, and then 1 wild card team. And the wild card team goes based on head-to-head and so forth, like who they beat who. And it looks like right now it's Capital, Meridian, and Rigby for the wild card spot. And Capital and Meridian still have to play each other. So That depends. If Rigby can pull off a big win against either Highland or Madison, that would help them tremendously.
Absolutely, and man, like I said, as that shapes up in the 5A SIC, I mean, Bora is sitting at 4-2 now. Bolt's a big part of that. Do they make a run here and knock off one of those top three teams, and or do they keep their place there and keep Capital out of it?
I see them. They still have to play Mountain View. They're going to lose that game. Mountain View is just too good. They'll slow down Bolt, let me say, and then they can't do anything else. But I see them being 6-3. They'll win 2 out of the next 3. They, like I said, they lose to Mountain View. They beat I forgot who the next opponent is. I think they got Meridian and Boise. Yeah, they have Boise this week. So those are the last. They'll end up 6-3. They'll make the playoffs and get a home playoff game. And I think, like I said, it's going to come down to Capital Meridian, whoever wins that. And then if Rigby doesn't do anything, it'll be Capital will get that wild card spot.
That'll be interesting. 5 teams from the conference, and Rocky's just continuing to dominate at the top there. Anything you want to add about how their streak here? Coming off the state championship.
Yeah, they've won 16 in a row now, and past 2 weeks have had shutouts. Their defense is just unbelievable, led by Nawahine, the free safety, the brother of the safety for Boise State. Like I said, that kid, he's top 5 player in the state of Idaho. That defense is just keep going. They only scored 21 last night, but if you don't give up any, you only need 1 to win. So that's what they rely on, that defense, and it's coming through. I don't see them losing, honestly.
Absolutely, and that's what I said. From the very beginning, you have to beat the champs. I think you have to show that you can keep up with them. I think they've beaten their top competition in the state even. Already this year. We'll see how they finish the regular season. As Tony mentioned, 3 weeks left, guys. I think maybe 4 weeks total if there's buys to be encountered. But playoffs are coming up quickly, and as Tony just broke down, only 22 teams make the state playoff tournament. Sorry, 20?
No, only 12 teams from here. There's 22 total.
22 total, 12 teams make the playoffs. I apologize, excuse me. And, look, 5 from the SIC is what we're looking at if, unless we can make a run. So, Tony, let's talk about this week. Is there any games outside of, in the 5A you want to touch on before we get to your game of the week?
Yeah, outside, not really. Highland plays Century 4A team. They'll run through them. Coeur d'Alene plays 3-3 Lewiston team. They'll run through them. Nothing really. The SIC games is just there's no big games this week in the SIC. So yeah, like the game of the week this week is, which I'm super excited for. I can't wait to be on the sidelines of this one. Is number 1 CUNA going at number 3 Bishop Kelly. So that should be an awesome game.
Those are 4A rankings in the States, guys. CUNA at Bishop Kelly next Friday night underneath the lights. Tony, as you mentioned, we'll be on the sidelines for this one. If you're interested in hitting them up, obviously check out our 4 Quarters Sports, social media pages. Reach out to us. We'd love to see, kind of hear what you want to say, what you want Tony to touch on, and, how you want the show to go, guys. Obviously, we're doing this for your interest, for your benefit. We want to hear we want to put out what you want to listen to. So, if there's anything, I know Tony's ranked his top 5, players in the Treasure Valley, and we have released those on one of our podcast listening sites. If you found it, please retweet it. Winner of that can win some free gear, guys. So if you find what's platform that is listed under, please reach out to us, and then we will release that on the other platforms once that is found. So, guys, again, retweet that, send us a pic, whatever you need to do, guys. We'll get you that free 4 Quarters gear. And, Tony, just break down this game, number 1 CUNA at number 3 BK. How do you see this one turning out?
Got to go advantage BK because it's at home. BK's won, 4 in a row after that first upset loss at Nampa. CUNA, it's a surprise. It's their best start since 1996, being 5-0, and they're dominant on all sides of the ball. It's pretty crazy to think of that because CUNA is it's a wrestling school. and now they're coming alive this season with the football. And I just don't. This is potential state matchup preview between these two, honestly. So I see BK taking it because it's at home, and like I said, BK doesn't make mistakes. But I can see CUNA winning this game though too. But if I have to bet on this game, I'm going to say BK wins this game by probably 3 points. Should be close one, come down to the wire, but I give the advantage to the Knights.
There you have it, guys. Tony's game of the week. Number 1, CUNA coming over and visiting BK in Boise. Friday night under the lights, guys. And there you have it. Another edition of the 208 Prep Sports Podcast brought to you by Four Quarter Sports. As we mentioned, you can find us on any of the SoundCloud or podcast listening platforms that we are on. SoundCloud, we have Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and as we just mentioned, we have just released on Spreaker. So please find us there, and then please communicate it with us on any one of the social media sites. That's the number 4 Corner Sports. Again, guys, the number 4 Corner Sports. And that's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Spotify. If you want to follow our Against the Spread picks, we do release those on Twitter. If you want to see a particular, sport with hockey opening night just starting, as well as NBA starting shortly, we'd love to get those to you guys. And then obviously, as you know, some of the quarters do college athletics as well. So tune in for that as we gear up for moving forward here in the fall. Again, Tony and Mike, leaving you guys here on the 2A Prep Sports Podcast. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.